It's 10 o'clock. This is Sky News at 10. Our top story.
I reckon it's him.
A 9-day manhunt ends with the Sky News crew finding and confronting the mistakenly released sex offender in North London. His protests of mistaken identity are thwarted by an officer armed with a previous arrest picture.
Hey, look, the justice of the UK. Release people by mistake. It's not my fault.
Also tonight, a woman who claims to be Madeleine McCann is convicted of harassing the missing girl's parents. Visions of a UK-focused streaming giant as ITV discusses the potential sale of its media and entertainment arm to Sky. And a young driver who crashed the day after getting his licence and killed his best friend is sentenced to 5 years. We'll also take a first look at tomorrow's front pages in our press preview from 10:30 right through until midnight. Good evening. A sex offender is back in custody tonight after Sky News and police caught up with him on a North London street. Brahim Kador Sharif was confronted by our crew 9 days after he was mistakenly released from Wandsworth Prison. The 24-year-old is serving a sentence for trespass, but was previously convicted for indecent exposure. Welcoming the arrest, the Justice Secretary David Lammy admitted there is a mountain to climb to tackle the prison's crisis. We'll have more on the political fallout shortly, but first, our national correspondent Tom Parmenter's exclusive report on the extraordinary moment that Brahim Kador Sharif was finally captured.
Right, so at the moment, he's been placed under arrest, okay, on suspicion of being wanted, okay? Being falsely released from prison, okay?
Manhunt over. But this began with a tip-off to Sky News.
A short time ago, I met an Algerian man who was a friend of the wanted guy, and he just told me that he is in Finsbury Park at the moment, and he's leading us to him. So we were brought to this part just outside Finsbury Park Station, and we've seen the police running. We think they're looking for him too. There's some undercover officers here as well. We know that he was in Finsbury Park last night around 6 p.m, but now the area is being swarmed by police officers trying to find him. Okay, I think there's another sighting. Let's try and keep up with them. Okay. You can tell how urgent this search is. Where's she going? You're not Brahim. You Brahim? No. They're looking for the guy who escaped from prison.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I wish you found him. I wish you found him.
Yeah.
It's him.
It's him there? No camera? Is that him? Is that him? Is that him?
Yeah.
It's him. That is him. Down here. I reckon it's him. Like the man we've just spoken to is walking away pretty fast now. Mate, are you Brahim?
I think
Yeah.
the guy you're looking for, he went to run away now with a line bike.
You think he's on a line bike?
Yes.
Okay.
He didn't rent it.
He did what? He didn't rent it, he just took it?
Yeah.
He just stole the bike?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
I think it's him.
You think that's him?
It's him. It's him. No? Come here, CCTV.
Mate, are you Brahim?
I'm not Brahim, I'm Ryan Alali, bro.
Sorry?
My name is Ryan Alali.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you know Brahim?
Huh?
Do you know him?
Everyone know him, is in news.
Okay.
The fingerprint in there.
We're just from Sky News, mate.
Right, so at the moment, we've got a person under arrest, okay, on suspicion of being wanted, okay? Being falsely released from prison, okay?
It's not me, police stuff.
We're going to do some further checks, okay?
This is the
At the moment,
suspected.
you're under arrest, okay? Because you look identical to the person released from custody, okay? So at the moment, we're arresting you to prevent your disappearance from location and to prevent any further harm to individuals by your release, okay? So you don't say if you may hold an offence, if you don't mention when questions, say later on in court.
But I'm not Brahim, bro.
May be given in evidence, okay? All right, we're just going to do some further checks, okay? Because you look exactly like the person, okay? I've had a look at the photo. You've got a very distinctive wonky nose. It looks the same as the person. Your photo looks very similar, sir.
Which photo, bro?
Just keep your hands there. Do you want to just come and take a seat? I'm just busy at the moment. Just go, we'll sit you down. Hang on, buddy. Sure. Boys, just stand back for a second. Open the van, please.
Have you got anything
Bro,
to say?
don't want the camera.
Have you got?
Why is the recording, bro? Bro,
Were you in ones? Were you in ones with prison?
Sorry?
Were you in ones with prison?
Hey, leave.
Were you in ones with prison?
Eu cortava para confirmar se não cara
You wanna just take the
Officer, this is I call the police.
You called the police.
No, that's suicide door.
You called the police.
Brahim,
And you blame me.
Buddy, just back.
the police station there.
Even it's not my fault, I don't give whatever. Was what police, was what jail. They released me illegally. Go sort it out with me, boss.
You were in prison.
The judge released me.
The police have him in handcuffs now and have arrested him on suspicion of being the man who was wanted.
Just obviously give my colleagues some.
Okay, they're literally just checking the photo
All right, sir, thank you.
against the images that are online from the news appeals. Yes.
You understand why you're under arrest, sir?
Bro, I don't understand that.
False release from prison. So we need to return you to that place, okay?
I can see that they are now just going through the rucksack that the man had on his back. There's a laptop, there's an umbrella, there's a wallet, and some tablets of some kind.
Hey, look, the justice of the UK. They release people by mistake. It's not my fault. They release me legally. The judge, he told me you are released.
Why didn't you hand yourself in then? Why didn't you hand yourself in?
Why? Do your job, man. You do your job.
See, they threaten me. If anything happen, yo, they threaten me. If anything happen, protection.
So do you want to give us a bit of space land on the pavement?
لا سبيدو جنوب وين يكبر لا غلط
From everything we've just seen, it seems that this manhunt is over and he's being returned to custody.
And all caught on camera by Tom, who is still in North London this evening. Tom, remarkable to capture all of that on camera. Remarkable. He tried to give a wrong name and claim someone else had ridden off on a Lime bike, and it was him all along, or so it seems. Just tell us how you ended up being there and watching this all unfold.
We were led into Finsbury Park by a friend of his, and I think that friend realised that the time was up, and it was the same point in the morning that the Met Police had had a tip-off from another local who had given them the information that he was in Finsbury Park, and it played out as you just saw, and the lies and stories that he tried to spin to me, really, I don't think he believed them, of course. I think he was trying to keep up the pretense, but deep down knew that this game was up. He could have pedalled off, he could have run off fairly easily, but instead he drifted back towards the police. They soon had him in those handcuffs, and the manhunt that has caused so much embarrassment was over. A short time after the arrest, I spoke to a man who witnessed today's incident, actually was the person who called in the tip to the police, and who saw the arrest of Hadush Kabatu, the Ethiopian asylum seeker, sex offender who was arrested in the very same park in North London a couple of weeks ago. We were there to report on that as well. That the incident that, of course, caused so many protests outside the Bell Hotel and elsewhere after his crimes. Well, this man saw both of those arrests, and he told me what he made of them. He's the second person to be released from prison by mistake to be found in Finsbury Park. Why did they come to Finsbury Park?
Because the community Algerians, he came here for the community. I don't know what he got him back, I don't know what he was doing. Job done. Job done.
What a farce this whole week has been, and you have to remember that the manhunts that we've seen ongoing in London, 2 of them, have been brought to an end by people doing the right thing, in contrast to the prison service getting everything wrong in their cases. You had yesterday the convicted fraudster Billy Smith from Woking handed himself back into Wandsworth Prison, and today the Algerian community of North London turning in 2 tip-offs, one to the police and one to Sky News, to bring this manhunt to an end. And I think right now we have news of further manhunts going on for other mistaken releases from prisons in different parts of the country. And I think people up and down the UK will be asking, when on earth will this mess end?
Well, absolutely, Tom. Thank you very much indeed. Well, more on those hunts now from our political correspondent, Rob Powell, who's in Westminster tonight. As Tom said there, Rob, that these 2 men may be back behind bars this evening, but there are other live cases going on as we speak.
Yeah, we understand that there's a small number, under 5, of individuals that have been mistakenly released from prison that still haven't been apprehended or found. Now, when you consider the numbers involved here, 260 or so people mistakenly released from prison in the year to March, that's hardly surprising. But it is a problem, especially for David Lammy, because he needs this pitter-patter of disasters to stop. He needs to send the message out in action as well as words that he's gripping this. Can he do it? Well, I think, frankly, honestly, it's going to be hard, because the reason why this is happening, the reason why these releases, these mistaken releases are taking place, it's not actually anything to do with David Lammy. It's to do with understaffing, under-resourcing in prisons and mistakes being made there. So the Justice Secretary says he's getting a grip on that. We've had the predictable rushing out of policies connected to it. But look, can you bring a number, 262 in a year, down to 0 overnight? No, you probably can't. And that's why this will probably carry on. And it's probably why the attacks from the Conservatives will keep coming in, as we've heard from Kemi Badenoch today.
I think that footage was extraordinary. I mean, these people are making a mockery of our justice system. They clearly feel that the UK is a soft touch and the government needs to get a grip. I thought it was also extraordinary that he was just wandering around just outside the Justice Secretary's own constituency. They are laughing at us.
So I think, given it's going to be hard for the government to fix all of this quickly, what they do need to do is basically get on top of handling the fallout better and make sure it doesn't look, as it has in the last few days, like they're playing catch-up and then making excuses. Because I think Labour MPs can understand the reasons why some of these mistaken releases are happening in terms of the pressure being put on the prison system. And I think they probably understand too the finger-pointing that goes on from government when they say that actually a lot of that is down to how it was handled under the previous Tory administration. I think what they don't forgive, though, is politicians making a hash of handling the politics. It doesn't foster good faith, it doesn't foster confidence. And I think 2.5 weeks from a budget that's going to be tricky, that's going to have some hard sells, good faith and confidence are 2 commodities the government badly needs from its MPs right now.
Certainly, Rob. Thank you very much indeed. Kate and Jerry McCann said today they take no pleasure in the conviction of a woman who bombarded them with her obsession that she is their missing daughter, Madeleine. They say they only wanted the harassment to stop, and it was harassment that Julia Wandelt was found guilty of after a 5-week trial at Leicester Crown Court. She was cleared of a stalking charge, while a co-accused woman was also cleared completely. 24-year-old Ms Wandelt from Poland now faces deportation. Our crime correspondent Martin Brunt takes a look back at the case.
In her campaign to prove she was Madeleine McCann, Julia Wandelt appeared on a TV chat show in America.
You think if you're not Madeleine McCann, that you might be some other missing child. I believe that I am Madeleine McCann.
Julia Wandelt is Polish. She was born 3 years after Madeleine. She struggled with her mental health. Yet she thought she could be Madeleine and pestered the missing girl's family to let her show them her proof. That included a blemish in her eye, like Madeleine's.
I also want to prove my eye's mark. It's my right eye.
She was charged with stalking Madeleine's parents, Kate and Jerry, bombarding them with texts, emails and voice messages. In a letter to Kate, she addressed her as Mum and signed the letter Madeleine. A stranger, Karen Spragg, offered to help Wandelt. Together they travelled to Leicester and checked into a hotel. They turned up in the McCann's village and were caught on a neighbour's doorbell camera approaching the McCann's home. Then they confronted them with a voice recorder running. First, Kate McCann.
Only a minute. I understand you. I do, but I don't need this. Sorry. But I'm not lying. I'm not lying. Not my daughter. I'm going to call the police. Call the police. This is private property. I'm not lying. Please, I have DNA. I'm going to the police and they'll sort it out. You're causing us a lot of distress.
A little later, they confronted Jerry McCann.
I need help. You are not Madeleine. How do you know you have DNA? How do you know you have DNA? He's not my
We don't want this. Please do not afterwards. And please leave the premises. Look, I don't know what your investment is.
Listen.
No, don't listen. We're not having a discussion about it.
Madeleine was nearly 4 when she vanished 18 years ago. She's become the world's most famous missing child. It was Portugal, 2007. She'd been left sleeping in a holiday apartment with her younger twin siblings. In court, Julia Wandelt said she grew up suspecting her Polish parents were not her real mum and dad. She claimed she was abused by an elderly relative, a man her father told her had once kidnapped someone. She began to believe she was an abducted missing child, and she searched the internet. She said she stumbled across the Madeleine case. She thought she resembled an age-progressed image of Madeleine. One of the suspects looked like her abuser, she said. It fuelled her belief she could be Madeleine. A detective from Scotland Yard's Madeleine squad phoned Wandelt and told her she wasn't the missing girl.
We are happy and satisfied that you are not Madeleine McCann. You are one of many hundreds of people, I'm going to say hundreds, who think they are Madeleine.
The jury was told that when Wandelt was arrested, a DNA test proved she wasn't Madeleine. The trial shone a light on what the prosecutor called the vitriol that some people pour on the McCanns. The family said the prosecutor had much empathy from around the world, but they suffered the cruelest of taunts from those with their own inexplicable motives. Wandelt and Spragg, he said, belonged to a group who perpetuated conspiracy theories which heaped more misery on the McCanns. That hatred appears to stem from the fact that Madeleine vanished one night after she and her siblings were left sleeping alone. Her parents were having dinner nearby, making intermittent checks on the children. Karen Spragg, who was also charged with stalking, said she befriended Wandelt on social media. She simply agreed to help her. But in a police interview, Spragg showed her own feelings towards the McCanns. They went away, she said, and left their children alone and were dining. We would get arrested here. Many are asking why weren't they punished and the twins taken away from them.
The McCann haters have become fixated against the family who have suffered the loss of their child. And no amount of reasoning, no amount of logic, no amount of trying to rationalise with those people ever seems to blunt, their desire to go into the online space and just pour bile and spew bile all over anything this poor family does.
Wandelt was given a 6-month prison sentence for harassing the McCanns, but she was freed. She's already spent that time in custody. She and Spragg, who was acquitted, were given restraining orders. If they approach the McCanns, they'll be committing a crime. This was Julia Wandelt on TikTok with a song she wrote. It's called Just Let It Go, advice she might finally have accepted. Though when asked by the prosecutor whether she still believed she could be Madeleine, she answered, it's neither yes or no. Martin Brunt, Sky News at Leicester Crown Court.
Now, it's a potential deal that could change the UK's broadcasting and media landscape in the age of streaming. ITV has confirmed it's in early stage talks about a possible £1.6 billion sale of its media and entertainment arm to Sky. The discussions don't include ITV Studios division, which makes shows like I'm a Celebrity. Sky News understands the aim is to create a UK-focused streaming giant. Here's our business and economics correspondent, Paul Kelso.
Come away with us. It's Britain's biggest free-to-air commercial broadcaster, responsible for hits like I'm a Celebrity. A proposed £1.6 billion takeover would see ITV's channels and streaming service become part of Sky, a partnership both sides hope will help them compete in the broadcast jungle as successfully as Ant and Dec.
I think a consolidation of domestic broadcasters, not just in Britain but right across Europe, is absolutely inevitable. There's no way that all the European countries can sustain 4 or 5 domestic broadcasters against the competition of the international streamers. So this particular proposal is not only sort of slightly inevitable, it's necessary.
70 years after it was founded to compete with the BBC, the home of Coronation Street has endured a troubled decade. Its share price down 75% since 2016, squeezed by changing viewer habits and commercial realities.
If this deal goes ahead, it would create the UK's biggest commercial broadcaster and be the biggest shake-up in the industry in decades. And to understand it, you have to appreciate the fundamental change in the way we watch what we used to call TV and pay for it.
Streaming giants like Netflix and Amazon have given viewers more choice, and advertisers have followed. 60% of all video advertising in the UK is now placed online with Google and companies owned by Meta. For Sky, owned by US cable giant Comcast, the deal would increase its subscriber base and the pool of content they can be offered.
Who's the target?
But dominance of the domestic television, advertising and streaming market would need clearance from regulators.
The potential for possibly higher prices for slots would arise. It's hard to predict because we don't really know anything about what would be the organization that comes out of this merger. But I think just on the surface of it, the advertisers are the ones that are likely to most object to the idea of a merger between the ITV and Sky sales houses.
Negotiations are at an early stage, but ITV's share price jumped on news of a potential deal. The message from investors: I'm a shareholder, get me out of here. Paul Kelso, Sky News.
The family of a teenage boy who was killed by his friend in a car crash is demanding more stringent rules for young drivers. Corey Cooper was today sentenced to 5 years in a young offenders institution for causing the death of his best friend Josh Atkins in Sheffield in 2023. They were both 17 at the time, and Cooper had only passed his driving test the day before the accident. Our North of England correspondent Katie Barnfield reports now from Sheffield Crown Court.
17 years old, killed by his best friend. Josh Atkins was the passenger in a car when his friend lost control and crashed, driving dangerously just a day after passing his test.
As soon as I walked in and saw Josh, I knew he'd gone.
The driver of the car was Corey Cooper, who was also 17 at the time. The friends from Sheffield had gone out for a drive together in November 2023. When he crashed, Corey Cooper had been speeding over 50 miles an hour down a 20-mile-an-hour lane.
The court heard that friends in a car behind said Corey Cooper had shot off ahead of them. As they rounded a bend, they saw the car flipped onto its roof, having crashed into a metal barrier. Corey Cooper had got out, covered in blood, and was saying, "What have I done? I've killed my best friend." Gabe Wiggett, who was also a passenger in the car and was seriously injured, told the court Corey had gambled with their lives, saying the accident will haunt him for the rest of his life.
I've got mixed emotions. I think a lot of people think, why don't you hate him? I feel worse now, having seen the evidence. I've got so many memories. No matter where I go, Josh is there.
Before the crash, Corey Cooper had been performing donut manoeuvres in a nearby car park. He admitted causing death by dangerous driving and seriously injuring another passenger. He's now been sentenced at Sheffield Crown Court.
In consequence of driving too fast, that young man, you, killed a friend and maimed another friend. A young life has been ended. Another 2 lives have been ruined. For what? Showing off to friends.
Josh suffered catastrophic injuries during the crash. Although he didn't survive, as an organ donor, he was able to save 4 other lives. His family are now campaigning for tougher rules on new, younger drivers.
In terms of the graduated driving licence that we want to talk about, had that been in place, Josh would still be with us now.
Josh's family say although Corey didn't mean to kill him, they can never forgive him for his actions, saying the choices he made tore their family apart forever. Katie Barnfield, Sky News in Sheffield.
The former Manchester City footballer Joey Barton's been found guilty of sending grossly offensive social media posts. A jury at Liverpool Crown Court found that the 43-year-old had crossed the line between free speech and crime with 6 posts he made on X, formerly Twitter. They were targeted at the broadcaster Jeremy Vine and football pundits Lucy Ward and Eni Aluko. He'll be sentenced next month. 6 Gwent police officers are to face misconduct proceedings over their handling of a crash near Cardiff more than 2 years ago, where 3 people died. It took police 2 days to find the car on the A48 road in March 2023. When they eventually did, they found 2 of the passengers still alive. Britain and the US have followed the UN in removing sanctions on Syria's leader Ahmed al-Sharaa. The EU says it will also follow suit. Al-Sharaa is a former jihadist fighter, but he took power after toppling Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad late last year. The sanction lifting comes ahead of al-Sharaa's meeting with President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. next week. And speaking of President Trump, the past week has marked a year since his re-election. Our US correspondent Mark Stone travelled to Florida and Pennsylvania to get contrasting snapshots of how voters are currently feeling. You can watch Mark's piece by scanning the QR code at the bottom of the screen right now. That was Sky News at 10. Coming up, we'll take a first look at tomorrow's papers in the press preview. Tonight, I'm joined by the political commentator Benedict Spence and the Guardian columnist Zoe Williams. Among the stories, we'll be chatting about this story on the front of the Eye, saying that a group of Labour MPs are plotting to oust the Prime Minister if income tax is raised in the budget later this month. We'll be back right after this break.